Hypothetical time.
The whole episode.
The whole episode. This is a treat. All right. Do you want to start? Because I have a good one.
Yeah, I'll let you start.
Okay. So,
Because I haven't read any of these.
you've been raising up the most brilliant child for 10 years. The hospital informs you of a slight mix-up and that the child is not actually yours. Would you exchange the child to fix that mistake?
Wow. No. I only say no because, like, I've already spent X amount of time with this kid. And, you know, they're almost like mine. Or to this whole point, I guess I believe them to be mine. But, you know, there's just the thought of, like, my actual bloodline being out there.
Right. Well, okay, so let's change it to like a year. So, a year into childbirth, the baby is still a baby. You know, maybe it kind of looks like yours. At that point, at a year, would you exchange the child for the one that you created?
I want to say, yeah, I'd exchange it just because the time's not, like... But, I mean, like, a year is a long time, like, you're a little creature.
To spend getting attached to something that you felt was yours.
Only for it to not be yours. And how does a hospital make a mistake like that?
I mean, I guess I don't know if this is true, but I heard of it happening, you know, back in the day. I don't know, I guess, what time you consider back in the day, but I don't know, man. I imagine that there are mistakes to be made somewhere.
Yeah, I don't doubt that this has probably happened.
So you say yes if it's a year.
I think so. Just because, like, I don't know, wouldn't the parents of this child be, you know, kind of concerned too?
What if everyone got mutually attached? What if everyone went home thinking, this is my child, and then you spend a year with that child, watching it grow, feeding it every day,
Oh, man.
changing its diapers at 3 a.m. You're talking 365 days, compounded by like 6 for changing diapers.
It's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I would like to definitely talk to the other parents and be like, can we come to an agreement here?
Well, what if at that point...
Unless they're like on the other side of the states or something, like,
Right.
I don't know. What would you do?
I don't know. Part of me thinks I wouldn't be able to.
To separate?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I genuinely believe that, like, when a kid is born, your kid is born, there's like a connection that even if you, I mean, because it's all mental. I mean, yes, there is like an emotional attachment to it, but, you know, if you had no idea that wasn't your kid, you would, for all intents and purposes, think that was your child.
Yeah.
And so then do you think, okay, well, I have to now get rid of it and, you know, I guess take on a stranger, even though that is your kid.
By blood.
By blood. But it wasn't your kid for the last year.
I think it's a harder question if it's like, you know, 10 years old.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because then it's like...
You've invested time.
Yeah.
That's like a big chunk of investment in your life. And you're like, well...
Only for the doctors to be like, hey, we kind of need you to
We
restart.
kind of need you to, like, turn that in. Like, what? What's wrong with you? Yeah, especially if the other couple didn't know. Like, if they were only able to track down you, and they were like, hey, you need to put that child up for adoption. Like, it's not yours.
Ooh.
I'd be like, hey, you should get off my porch before I shoot you. With love.
I mean...
But also a gun.
I guess you know, you would hope the option would be that you could keep both of them because, like, one is, you know, by blood and the other is, like, you know, you've raised it.
What about the other one? What about the other parents? Let's say that is an option. What if the other parents...
Like, we need a swap.
Yeah. They're like, well, we want a kid too. Like, we've had a kid for 10 years as well. I asked my mom, and my mom immediately was like, heck no, I wouldn't give it up. Because I think that that's where I get the conclusion that there is a physical connection or like an emotional connection that you develop with your own child that is just we will never understand.
Kind of reminds me of like, I mean, this is kind of out there, but Jerry Springer, and then they're like, they get the test, and the kid's like 5, and it's not actually theirs.
That's like Maury. That's more along the lines of Maury.
That happens on Jerry Springer though too.
Yeah, but Jerry Springer's more white trash fighting each other.
Steve Wilkos.
I can never get into Jerry Springer.
It's entertaining, but I don't know how much of it's like actually true.
Yeah, I wonder if they script most of that. I mean, I'm sure the stories are probably real, but how over the top some of that stuff is, it feels a little scripted.
It's a show that like got me to, well, when I found out it was fake, I was like kind of shocked, was Catfish.
Really?
Yeah. And mainly they had said that on one of the episodes there was, a girl and a guy, and the way the show portrayed it was that the guy messaged Catfish about this girl who like seemed too good to be true because she was like attractive and everything, but in actuality it was the girl that messaged about the guy. But then like the show producers like, oh, it'd be more interesting if we did the guy's take on it. I guess just because of like appearance wise. Like the girls seem more out of his league, so they flipped the script.
Wow.
But I think the meeting encounter was still,
real?
them reading for the first time. But
right.
Yeah.
So are those the meaning? Because I've never seen Catfish. I've never been interested in the show.
It's so good.
It breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart because, well, it breaks my heart. So I've never been into that show, but I've always wondered if because I've seen some of the meetups where you're just like,
come on now. Definitely one of my favorite shows. I feel like as of now it's probably like easier to stage like someone, because on the show they've had people that like write in for like clout, and like those are always the worst ones. But I don't watch too much TV, but that's definitely one that I'm like a fan of.
I'm gonna regret asking this.
Have I ever been?
Have you ever been catfished?
No. I don't know why I had to think about it. No, I haven't been catfished. I mean, some people, I guess, like with profile pictures, like really showcase their best angles. But other than that,
no. But like, you've never had a conversation, schedule a meetup,
and then
try and hang out with the person, and it either end up being the wrong person, or they never show.
No, I've never gotten stood up or catfished. And hopefully I don't ever.
Hopefully that never happens. That would break my heart, man, if you got catfished. I'd feel so bad for you. I'd want to go fight that person. Well,
I know someone that has catfished somebody.
Has done the catfishing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
And like...
Talk about it.
Really, they had said the reason they did it was because they just wanted attention.
They openly admitted that?
Yeah, and that,
Nani?
This person ended up fessing up about, doing it to the person, and that they were cool about it because they were like, oh, hey, I'm actually the person behind this account. I did it for so long, and, I'm just wanting to come clean about it. And the person receiving the catfish was totally cool about it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. Start over. Was it a girl catfishing a guy?
Yes.
How long did it go on?
I think like a couple of years.
Did you see the messages?
No, she had just told me about it.
Was it romantically involved? Were they like dating for a couple of years, or were they just friends?
I want to say just friends, but I that's really the only amount that I know of was that she did it, and she mainly did it for attention.
Because I find it hard to believe that they were romantically involved through the internet for several years, and the guy was just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so they were probably just friends. But I mean, that does happen that, people get into online relationships for several years. And the ones that trick me up the most are the ones that like, oh, we've never had like a Skype call or whatever. I was like, what?
Yeah. after 3 years and you haven't gone and even visited the person, or, I mean, shoot, Gabby and I can barely go a week without FaceTiming and seeing each other. When we were in Japan, we FaceTimed like 100 times. Sent pictures back and forth. I could never.
I just feel like there's no excuse now for like someone to be catfished. You know, obviously like, oh, my camera's broken, but it's like, dude, come on.
After 3 years, get a new phone. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like $30 for like a prepaid smartphone with a bad camera.
Right.
So, but yeah, catfish is a interesting premise.
I have to. I guess I don't know if you would call this being catfished, but in I think like freshman year, there was a girl that found me on like Facebook or something, and we messaged back and forth for maybe like a week, and then she was like, "Yeah, let's hang out," and so I rode my bike to like the Chevron, and then she was like, "Okay, I'll be there in like 15 minutes," and then I waited like maybe an hour. And she never showed. And then I ended up, like, I stopped talking to her, and then I ended up seeing her, like, 4 years later. And she tells me, like, oh, I'm this person.
Oh, no.
And I was like, well, why are you telling me? But also, this is not who you said you were at all. I was very confused. But I don't know if you would consider that being catfished, or if that's just a stupid person doing stupid things.
I would say textbook definition, that is a catfish.
Oh, dang it. SMH.
I guess
my own head.
I'm thinking back, and I would say it's like a mini catfish, but I never met the person. But like some random person on Facebook, like back in like the Farmville days.
Oh my gosh.
So like we're talking like 2009.
2009?
This girl had messaged me, and at the time, like, I didn't know what Megan Fox looked like. But this was her profile picture. And yeah, so she was messaging me, and she was like from another country, and I was just like, I don't know, just a young teen on the internet messaging people, I guess. And she ended up like, we exchanged emails, and then she like showed me pictures of herself, and it's like, this isn't, you're clearly not Megan Fox, but like, I don't know why you felt the need to, like, I guess, close your identity behind, like, a celebrity. But after that, I felt kind of weird. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta go. I have an emergency dentist appointment.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
I gotta block you.
All right, let's move on. If you had to be haunted by a ghost for the rest of your life, but could choose which dead person the ghost would be, who would you choose as your ghost? Out of all the dead people.
Like, that I know, or that, like, any dead person?
Well, you could choose which dead person the ghost would be.
I didn't catch that the first time. Any dead person. I don't know. There's not really, like, I guess, like, a celebrity that's passed away that I'm, like, missing. Well, I mean, it sucks that certain celebrities have died, or, like, musicians, but
they could only follow you. Like, you would be the only person that would be, quote unquote, haunted by the ghost.
Is there I have to pick someone? I'm not.
This is the hypothetical. What do you mean? Like, this is the whole point of the episode. What do you mean?
I don't know. I guess I didn't, like, hear it clearly the first time, but I'm reading it.
All right.
Who would I choose as my ghost? Prince. Really? I don't know. He seems like an interesting cat.
Okay.
Why not have him haunt me?
Right.
Maybe get some Purple Rain vocals.
Yeah, maybe he could just sing backup vocals to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice.
Like I said, I can't really think of anyone else that, like, I'm like, oh yeah, them. What about you?
I don't know. Part of me wants to go something like cool, like Ben Franklin or something. But then I would almost want to be haunted by the ghost of someone that I've always wanted to have a conversation with.
Yeah, I think I would want to share an experience like that with somebody I've always wanted to meet.
Who comes to mind? Prince.
Yeah, I mean Prince, Mac Miller. I don't know.
See, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say Mac.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to have a conversation with him. I've watched interviews, and I mean, I've obviously grown up with him being a fan of his, and I've always been like, you know what? I bet you him and I would get along.
I also feel like if you did someone like old though, like a historical figure, I feel like, yeah, they're haunting you, but I also feel like they'd be like spooked out by like the current state of the world.
Well,
Like, what are these scooter things?
that would be fun to explain to somebody. Like, haven't you ever seen those movies where it's like either a time travel or like an Encino Man kind of thing where you have to kind of explain and show the ropes to someone who is completely out of their element? Like someone comes back from like 2085 and it's like post-apocalyptic and the world has ended and blah blah blah, and they come back to this time. They were born in like, they're only 20 years old. They were born at the peak of everything, and they come back to this time and you're like, yeah, it's like semi-chill.
Things have changed.
Things have changed a little bit.
That's all right.
I think. What?
Would you ever like freeze yourself?
No. I don't really. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go.
Well, I mean, just as an experiment.
I don't know. Maybe if I had like, if I was single, had no goals in life, no inhibitions or anything, I would freeze myself for like maybe 20 years.
But then like something happens and they forget to unlock you at 20 years.
Yeah, and it's like a Futurama situation where you wake up thousands of years later.
Yeah.
And it's like this super advanced utopia.
Or completely awful and it's I Am Legend.
Well, at that point, I'm just like, yeah, just keep me in here.
I'm going to go back to sleep.
I'm going to go back to sleep.
Yeah, I can't think of any other haunting. Well, I at that point, I don't know if I would call it haunting because they're just like kind of hanging out.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if it was someone that, if you don't pick like the ghost of the dead child from upstairs, like then you don't have to worry about any animosity from anybody.
Right.
Pick someone that was a good person when they were here. I would say Jesus, but Jesus isn't dead. Boom!
I can't respond to that because I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah, I think that it'd be fun to have someone at least that's not a jerk. Like I wouldn't want. Who was it? I'm trying to think. There was someone who was notoriously. Oh, Buddy Rich. You don't probably know who that is because he's a jazz drummer, but I heard that as an artist he would like throw sticks at musicians when they made mistakes in his band. He would yell and scream and cuss at people. Just was a real super fun guy to be around. So I wouldn't want him to be my ghost.
Yeah, I don't either. I'd want the cool guy or like the unspoken person. I don't know.
Like Leonardo da Vinci?
Yeah, I guess more like someone we didn't hear enough about. I mean, you hear about Leonardo, but like
no, but like you don't know what his like. Because I mean, people say that he was a cross-dresser.
Right.
That Mona Lisa was a self-portrait of him dressed in drag. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's talk around the water cooler apparently.
Yeah, I think someone like that would be cool. Like there's information on them, but I mean, I would like to know more.
Yeah, I would like to know from like someone that was around when the pyramids were built.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Teach them English and then make them tell you what happened.
Give me all the secrets.
All the secrets. What about a person? If let's say they weren't haunting you, if you could bring back one person from like, maybe a year before they died. So they have no recollection of them dying. They just basically get teleported to here. And you could explain, you'd have to give them kind of the rundown of what life is like. But what would be one person that you would want to come back? It's not like a family member. Make it like a political figure or a celebrity or something.
I don't know, because there's like people that have passed, but like, if I could bring them back at like a certain point in their life, like Michael Jackson, like in his prime time was interesting cat.
Hmm.
But I don't know
Think
about,
so?
you know, late Michael Jackson with
Well,
bleak skin.
I don't know if even early Michael Jackson was mentally sane.
Well, I guess
He made great music. Don't get me wrong. But
I'm thinking Thriller, MJ.
he had even Thriller MJ. He had to have some form of problem. He was a superstar since he was born, basically. Like you don't even as like your the prime of your life, you probably don't have. You're probably not the. I guess
you don't have the
most normal person.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, you don't have a normal childhood.
You don't have a normal childhood. You don't have a normal life. You don't have a normal, upbringing of, especially with the way that their dad treated them when they were kids and stuff like that. That obviously would affect things. What'd you pull up? Musicians that have died. So it would be mainly musicians is who you can think of.
Yeah. And maybe that's kind of like a selfish answer because, like, obviously, you think of the music and the impact they had.
Hit more items. I'd be interested to see who. I thought you were going to Google it first. Who, like, musicians that died at 27.
Oh,
join the 27 club?
That's a weird thing that exists.
Well, it seems to be, most of the people were musicians.
Right.
I would like to meet Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't made they're making like biopics of musicians now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't made a Hendrix one.
Well, I think that they are
and
trying.
I feel like it's coming.
They're trying to do like the musicians that were famously gay, I think. I think that's a focus, at least.
I mean, it's Rocket Man's like the only one that I can think of.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh. Well.
That's 2 in the last 2 years.
But Queen's a different case, though, because, I mean, yeah, that's true, but, like, there's such a big band.
Well, it was about... Okay. Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
But it was mostly about the front man.
Yeah, I mean, he's the star, but, I mean, everyone likes Queen.
Yeah.
I love me some Queen.
Fat Bottom Girls. Bicycle track. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever track that one is.
Radio Gaga.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
I mean, it's a good song.
Yeah. All right, man. You go on the
hypothetical.
HT.
So for kind of a change in tone here, my hypothetical is if you're in a post-apocalyptic world and to your knowledge, all of your immediate family was dead, would you continue to survive and like live in this world, or would you off yourself? Deep thoughts.
Well, I don't think I am. I don't think I could kill myself. So, the question for me would be: number one, is this like zombie apocalypse where I'm fearing for my life, or is this just like, I can't really think of another.
I'm thinking like Book of Eli.
Okay.
Like almost Mad Max. I mean, they're close. Mad Max. Mad Max is like full. Like
that's like full.
That's like
on.
A new world.
Yeah, that's like a whole new world.
But Book of Eli, there's still remnants of the past.
Right. So I would not kill myself, and I would try and continue my bloodline. Like, it would be hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm alone, I have no family. But at the same time, I owe it to future generations that could potentially taste a better life than the one that, I had.
It's an interesting take.
You're saying you would just KYS?
I would.
Really?
Mainly because it's like, if this messed up world is like the current thing, like what's even the point?
Well, because there's always, I mean, I guess hope.
I mean, there's a hope to carry on, but like at what cost? Like me, I have to live through this.
Well, I mean,
It's not like it's like a walk in the park. Like we're talking like, people hunting each other for sport. And
of course. I mean, it's post-apocalyptic, but you
not great chances of survival, anyways.
Well, I would rather go out fighting and take myself out. I don't think I have the stones to do that.
I think to me, it's just knowing that I'm alone, entirely alone, and that like I'm the one that would have to attempt to keep going. I just like, I think I just want to join the rest of my people. And
yeah, but your name then dies forever.
That's history.
But it's not though. It's only history if you have someone to carry it on.
But I mean, like, I'm just gonna peace out. I'm gonna join my people.
What I mean.
Do you get what I mean though? Like,
yeah, I do. It's hard to have the hope and the will to like fight and to survive on your own. But I don't know if we could speak on this accurately because we've never had to fight for our lives. Because I know in the moment you say that you would, kill yourself. But I think in the actual, if you're faced with the situation of like I would rather die trying to fight for like something that I love.
But I mean, like, what's the motivation other than just to carry on the bloodline?
Well, that would be my motivation. That would be like, I don't want my generation to end.
To me, I guess I see it as I want to join everyone else. Like, they're gone, like I might as well be gone too,
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing. I've had this conversation before with people at work, and, most of them are like, oh yeah, I'd keep surviving and I'd keep fighting. And I'm just like, nah, I'm out. And everyone's just like shocked. They're like, really?
Well, I would, okay, what if you were the, Book of Eli situation? You're like, you're the last person with knowledge that could turn the world around.
Like a particular
right
subject.
Like the Book of Eli has the Bible, right? And the whole point of spoiler alert for go see the movie, it's 10-20 years old, whatever it is, whenever it came out.
I think like 10 plus.
Yeah, 10 plus at least. You have no right to complain. I think, what if you were the last person, or what if you had the Bible? What if you had the last important thing that could potentially save the earth?
That's different though, because it's like there's a greater cause here.
But what if you didn't know? What if there was some deep knowledge in the other third of your brain, 2/3 of your brain that you don't have access to, that when you reach a certain point in your life, you'll be able to share and then have to survive?
I don't know.
Because then you could potentially doom the whole earth.
By not sharing that information?
Yeah. What if it's like, democracy?
It's a lot at stake for myself. For a guy that's just trying to, hang out.
I think you'd be surprised at what you're capable of, sir.
I understand the reason to want to carry on. It's just I'm a realist, If I know that I'm entirely alone in a not great environment, and like the chances of really carrying on for another 10 years is like going to be challenging, I'd be like, I think I'm going to clock out.
Some would say that's a pessimistic attitude.
Sure.
You're a glass half empty.
But look at the scenario here. Like, we're talking like you just saw someone get like chained and they're now getting dragged from like a metal car at like 100 miles an hour. And they did it just for fun. And like you just happen to be like 5 minutes late to that experience. You think like, oh yeah, I kind of want to endure this.
You were running on CPT, color people time. Couldn't make it on time.
You know what I mean though? Like if you're seeing like just constantly messed up stuff.
Yeah.
And then like what would be worse? You offing yourself or you getting like, captured by like a bounty group, and you know they got a bounty on your head, and they're gonna do whatever now.
Sold into slavery or something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, even if I had to look at it like that, I'd still want to be like, I'd want to at least fight. I'd be like, all right, fine. If I'm gonna have to go out, I'm gonna go out with like grenades.
Yeah,
I'd chuck grenades and take some fire if I have to.
I think it's an interesting topic. Mainly,
I would want to see how good I am with a gun at that point. Like, no experience, really, next to no experience shooting, and then have a bunch of dudes with like bats.
I mean, you think you're gonna
like? Am I gonna survive?
I don't know. Mainly in those movies, like you see the people that are surviving, and they're like the skilled.
Yeah, the reason that they survive is because they're the skilled kind of person.
But you and I are normal cats.
Yeah,
and if I see some guy with like a mask with needles, I'm gonna be like, I'm good.
Hey, I'm out. I'm outie like an innie.
I think it's time for me to go.
It's time for me to check
go
out.
in the other direction.
That's wow, that got real dark.
But it started making me think about like Mad Max, which is always cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I always put myself in those situations, and then it makes me like a little anxious.
Let me clarify. Mad Max is aesthetically cool.
Oh yeah. That movie is beautiful.
Everything else about that is like, whoa. Like, people are obsessed with cars and
big nannies in the chat.
Not much water left.
And the whole like using people for their energy via the blood thing. What do they call them? Blood bags or something?
Yeah.
Strapping them to the front of the car and like, all right, we're going to go speed through the desert.
Go to Valhalla.
Did you know that there were next to no visual effects in that movie?
I know, it's a beautiful movie.
Very practically.
Now I want to watch it again.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was talking about The Dark Knight with my family earlier, like yesterday or the day before, and it made me want to just go watch The Dark Knight. So guess what I did?
You watch it?
I did.
Let me ask you a hypothetical on movies.
Ooh.
Since we're talking about movies. If you could rewatch a movie for the first time ever again and like just get that new soaked in experience, no spoilers, nothing, just you're going to rewatch something for the first time, what movie would it be?
Honestly, my first reaction was Infinity War. Just because no movie like that left me with that feeling of
wow.
Like wow. Like I literally, when that happened, my mouth dropped and I was supremely shocked.
Yeah.
But then when I think about it, there are movies that didn't have a conclusion, didn't have a follow-up movie. At least with Infinity War, we knew that there was the conclusion, the resolve.
They're going to fight back.
Yeah, like we knew that was coming. Although the hype for that movie was
insane.
Dummy crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, because oh man, that's a great question. Give me some time to think about it. What about you?
I think my head goes to something like The Dark Knight.
I thought about that as well.
Just because that movie's like so timeless.
Yeah.
Like anytime, you're passing by and you see it pull up on like HBO or something, it's like you got to sit down and finish it. Even if you're like at the halfway point, just because it's a thoroughly enjoyable movie and it's just a one of a kind.
Yeah, oh man. Because even if I got to see, because there are movies that I think I've loved over the course of watching them 1,000 times.
Right.
And then there are those movies like, have you seen Old Boy?
No.
I'm not even going to talk about it. That movie's got a crazy, crazy ending. Have you seen Inception?
Like half of it.
What?
Yeah, I didn't finish it. I was watching it late night and I was like, this is kind of making my head hurt.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I know.
You gotta see that movie. That's a great one with just an ending that doesn't necessarily complete. You don't really know what happened. What about Ex Machina? The way that ends.
That you're talking about the AI one, right?
Yeah, where she traps the only two humans that knew
About her.
she existed, killed one of them, and then trapped the other one to die, basically, and then goes out into the world.
That was a really fantastic movie, but I don't think it's like one that I would need to be wiped from my head to like see it new again.
Okay, I guess I was just more
as much as like compared to like Dark Knight, you know.
Well, I guess I transferred the question into movies with crazy endings. Yeah, The Dark Knight. I would think also like Spaceballs.
Really?
Just because that movie, I've seen that movie. I mean, but I think that's one of those movies that I've seen so many times, and that's why that movie's great.
Yeah.
Like movies for the first time, The Dark Knight is probably one of those.
I think part of me also goes to Napoleon Dynamite.
Really?
Yeah.
That's one of my movie, but
that's one of my favorite movies.
Again, I think that's one of those movies that gets better when you watch it over and over again.
I've seen it like 20 times.
Well, and I think that's why you love it. Can you remember the first time you saw it where you like hooked?
I was just like,
because I saw it in theaters and I was like, eh. And I saw it a couple years later and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie's hilarious.
I heard all the hype about it in the theater, but I waited for it to come out on DVD. And then when I watched it at home, I'm just like, all right, let's see this movie that everyone's been talking about. I'm like, I felt like I just kind of watched a movie about nothing.
Yeah, you watched nothing happen.
And I loved it.
And you loved it.
Because it was so awkward and so human.
Yeah.
And real.
Yeah. Sometimes awkward things like that give me anxiety. Because I just want to grab the person and shake them and say, what are you doing?
Just this random...
Be better.
This random town, and I don't even know where they're located, but it's like a little isolated incident, and then it's like, I don't know. This could have been a
in Arizona somewhere?
No, I want to say like...
New Mexico, maybe?
Like Iowa or something. But it's one of those movies that like almost could have been a documentary.
Yeah, I mean...
A documentary about nothing.
I agree. What would it be? I mean, yeah, like you said, a documentary about nothing. Preston, Idaho.
I knew it was something with an I.
Wow, that was good. I would never have guessed that.
I mean, they're like in like farm country, but also like semi-civilized.
Well, look, yeah, yeah, semi-civilized. Oh my gosh. Let's change the question to a song. If you could listen to a song that you had never heard, or that you, if you could listen to a song for the first time.
Oof. This is one of those where I feel like I'd have to like look at my catalog.
What's the first song that comes to your mind?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Because I heard that song for the first time when I saw Wayne's World.
Yeah.
And so I went into that, listening to that song with the scene in Wayne's World in my head.
Okay, I have the answer. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
That's a good one.
I love that song. Like when I hear that song, that's always like a song I want to listen to like on a long drive in the summer, like just cruising. It's got that beat and it's just, yeah, I think that's my answer. I'm locking it in.
Mine is a really basic answer because the way that the song opens, when I heard it for the first time, I remember when I heard that song for the first time, I was flabbergasted because the drum intro was just so like simple and yet so cool, and then the song itself goes into a really like it's melodic. It's Young Vibes Don't Run Away From Me by the band Sleeping, or by the band The Sleeping.
I have never heard of this song.
Yeah. It's one of those, it was like in my alternative rock, punk rock stage when I was in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And I was like Mr. Emo kid. Yeah.
I mean, we were all there,
We were all there at once. The scene, you know.
No shame.
Well, a little shame. I wore purple pants in middle school, so.
A little regret.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. What about, do you listen? Because I mean, I'm a big proponent of listening to an album from start to finish.
Right.
Is there an album Like, could you think of like an entire album that you love from start to finish that you would want to hear for the first time again?
Band of Horses. Is it Cease to Begin? The one where the covers like a moon lake.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the one. That song has like nothing but hits on it. It's really good.
That album, you mean?
Did I say song?
Yes.
Oh, well, that album is
that song that has all the songs on it.
that's the one.
I'm gonna say "Lost in the Sound of Separation" by Under Oath. Okay. It is my favorite album, probably of all time. It is one of those, like, it's what we were talking about last week of how, or the week before, about this album reminding me of a time in my life.
Right.
And it's very, like mood heavy. It's one of those greats.
Yeah, I just think for Band of Horses, like, I don't know, like I still listen. I can listen to that album from start to finish, and it's always a grand time. So I think if I were to go back and listen to it again for the first time, I would be quite happy.
What about a TV show? If you could watch, like, let's say the pilot. No, because some pilots suck.
I would say like either like Avatar or SpongeBob. Because SpongeBob is so unique.
Yeah.
Like the humor they were outputting back then, and then like, I go with, friends and I'll share like old SpongeBob memes, and it's just like, yeah, I totally
relate.
Yeah.
I totally, I know exactly what episode you're talking about.
Yeah. You ever had those conversations where you're like, oh, like that one time in that SpongeBob episode? I find that happens a lot with like me and Germ. Like, where we talk
not specifically to SpongeBob. But yes, I do know what you mean. Shows are a little bit more difficult for me to answer.
I feel like your answer is The Office.
No, because that's one of those shows that gets better after you rewatch it. I didn't like The Office when I first saw it. It took me a while before I started to like The Office.
How strange.
Yeah.
That you have to like do it again to appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it was just the time that it was out. I just wasn't into like the dry humor of sitcoms.
So what would be your answer then?
I don't know, because there's been great shows.
Are you looking like sitcom or more
I don't know, because like I'm probably leaning more towards like a series, and I'm trying to think of a show that has like a great ending, like the first season ends and you're like, whoa.
So not Game of Thrones season 8.
Well, not season 8, maybe season 1. Ned Stark getting his head chopped off.
Oof.
It was like, okay, the way that I describe season 1 of Game of Thrones is like it felt like the first show that almost, immediately killed off one of its main characters. Like a character that you really, or like you, like over the course of the season, you were like, oh, like this one, he's a great character. He's going to last. He was like the honorable one that always, never lied and did things the right way and blah, blah, blah.
Like he was going to be the star of the show.
Yeah, he was going to be the star of the show. And then at the end, you're thinking, oh man, he's going to get saved. And then the sword falls and his head gets chopped off. And you're like, oh, never mind.
All right.
But I don't know. That wouldn't be one that I would want to watch for the first time again. That's a hard question. Like the TV show one's a little bit more difficult for me.
Yeah, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so for me, I just go back to the ones that I watched in full, which is like probably no more than like 10.
See, lately I've been wanting to restart Gotham. Like I've been wanting to wish that I could just start over again. Because that show's really good.
Maybe Black Mirror.
Ooh. Black Mirror, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Like the
Except for
White Christmas.
We can get rid of episode 1.
Well, White Christmas. I think White Christmas, if I could see that again for the first time and just be like the way that ends.
Oh, I know. The loop.
Oh my gosh. That's you won.
Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror. That's a good one.
So for another one, another hypothetical. Someone you have known for life is in deep pain, paralyzed, and know that the sickness will eat her or him in a month. He desperately begs you to give him a painless, instant, lethal injection so he or she can die. No one will know the deal. Would you kill your close friend? This is kind of interesting because I played a video game that had a sequence like this.
What?
And
what video game?
Life is Strange.
Oh.
You really ought to play that. It's some good stuff. It's one of those narrative-based games where it's...
Yeah, those are hard for me to get into.
But this is like a really good one.
Yeah, that's what Germ said.
It also takes place in Oregon, so it's nice.
What?
Yeah. And for that one, I said, yes, I would kill my friend with the either, lethal injection or plug, whatever. I just, if they're in pain, like you'd hate to see them suffer.
Yeah.
And especially if it was like their wish, like, please do it. Even if it's like, yeah, they have their family and, but this is your close friend and they're asking you for this plea and, obviously they can't do it on their own. So
right.
It's their way of reaching out to you. And so yeah, I would do it. What do you say?
No.
If
I wasn't a believing man and knew that ending a life is like one of those, big no-nos.
Well, it reads, kill. So that's
okay.
And
you're taking a life. I mean, you are the person responsible instead of letting God be the person that takes him out of the world. You are choosing to take him out of the world. So it's hard for me to answer. If I was, if I didn't believe in God, then yes, I would do it.
Well, like I am a man acting on his ethics and morals and to what I know, so I would
see my ethics and morals are defined by my belief in God.
That's where you and I differ, my friend.
Yeah.
But
so that's why some of these questions are hard for me to answer because it's hard. Like as a friend, it would be a very difficult decision for me to make because I wouldn't want if our one of our best friends.
Let me make this horrible.
Oh no!
If I was in this situation and I was like, Austin, we ran a podcast for many years and it was a good time. We've been boys. Would you please yank that thing out of the socket and let me go in peace? I got a month out anyways.
You got a month? I would wait it out, man.
Wow.
Because you never know, dude.
Even if I'm in
There's
dire
some
pain.
Crazy, crazy, crazy testimony. I would believe that you would be able to be healed. And then if you didn't, then you would go when it was your time, and it was your time to go.
Even if I'm in excruciating pain, as the hypothetical states.
Yes.
Saying that this sickness is eating them away. That's the word that I'm like, ooh, ow.
Yeah.
Please take me out.
I don't know, man. It would be hard. It's one of those I would want to, I don't know, I would need to think about it. If you were if someone had a gun to my head and it was
either take their life or I do it to you.
Yeah, take their life or I do it to you. I don't know.
What do you do then?
I don't know. I'd take your life. No, I'd be do it to me, man.
Wow.
I would save myself to save my friends. Or I would sacrifice myself to save my friends and my loved ones. That's something that I've always been firm in the belief. I don't know. I've never been put in a situation where I have to. And God forbid I do, but...
Wow, what a interesting scenario.
I saw one of the hypotheticals that was would you, if there was a burning building and one of your brothers was in the burning building and you had the opportunity to save your brother or 4 strangers, who would you save? The 4 strangers or your brother?
It's got to be my family, man. I got to save them.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to sound weird, but it's a quality over quantity thing to me. I would be saving more people, but it's like, this is my kin. I would live with nothing but regret if I didn't save my family.
Yeah.
So
like how especially if your mom found out.
Yeah,
like if your mom was like, "Oh, you could have saved Sway's life."
Oof.
And you didn't. And you chose to save 4 strangers who all turned out to be homicidal maniacs.
Well, I don't even think you need to have the homicidal aspect. I just think
they went on to do nothing great.
Or I mean, they just live on or whatever. But yeah, that would definitely be like, you would get outcasted for that.
Well, and then I would also feel guilty about not saving my brother's life.
Right.
Like if this happened now, cutting my brother's life in like right when it's about to get started and choosing to save 4 people I don't even know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think that one's like easy for me.
It's an easy one to answer, but it doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what if one of those people was going to be the next Albert Einstein or the next Elon Musk?
Sorry, man.
Sorry, man. Bro, gotta go. Or stay, rather.
I could like totally like see the scenario happening.
Oh, really?
Like, I mean, like a burning building I could see this play out in a movie.
Yeah, but like a burning building, I'm not thinking about 4 people. I'm only thinking about my friend or my brother. So like in that moment, if there's a burning building and someone's not going to be like, "Hey, there's 4 people in there and your brother. You could only save one of them." I'm like, I'm going to go save my brother and then I'll die trying to save the other people.
Well, I guess how I would see it is like if you entered this building and there's like a hall splitting into 2 paths, and then like you see your brother who's got like a thing like pinning him down, and then on the other side of the hall is like you can hear a faint like help, and then you're like, oh well.
Yeah, I'm immediately running to my brother.
Yeah,
because then me and my brother could go and try and help the other people.
But then like you hear the rubble and like
then we're getting out. Like then we're bouncing like a 64 ounce, homie.
These are a mix of dark hypotheticals and some lighthearted ones.
Yeah, we've really gone down the rabbit hole today,
and I think we're gonna keep going there.
Let's keep going. So if you could choose one superpower for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I feel like with these ones you need to kind of list the superhero powers, because you think of obvious ones like speed, strength, invisibility. To me, my mind goes to mind reading or teleportation.
Pick one.
I'm gonna go with mind reading, mainly because I'm a very curious person.
Okay.
And I want to know. I also feel like I would just get like unlimited amount of knowledge,
Now you can't turn the power off. Does that change your thoughts?
Well, then I like go Professor Xavier mode and I gotta invent the cerebrum.
What if you, as the gift of mind reading is given to you, and immediately you can't turn it off, and every person that you're within earshot of, you can hear their thoughts.
So these are one of these
inverse genie questions.
I feel like I would go like a little crazy.
Oh, I would go instantly crazy.
A lot crazy?
A lot crazy. I'd go all the way crazy. I saw this as like if you were invisible, but then
you
could only be invisible.
That's terrible.
Would you take it?
No.
You wouldn't do like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of move where you paint your face with like powder
and put on a coat.
Paint and put on a coat. Wear gloves all the time. Become the Invisible Man.
But I feel like that would be like a mental kind of like loop for me because it's like what do I even look like?
Yeah, but like that, I think that's like the lesser of two evils.
Between mind reading?
Well, between think of a power, strength. What if you couldn't turn it off? What if you could only lift things to the maximum ability?
Oh, hold my new baby.
Yeah. All right, when you get in the car, don't slam the door. Oh, thanks for ripping it off the handles. Okay, what about like?
Could you help me with my grocery? Oh.
Could you help me with my groceries? Oh, you crushed all my eggs, my bread. What about like? What's another one? Flying. Like you could only fly ever.
Imagine teleporting. You just
teleporting,
constantly teleporting.
You're just like, well, I think with teleporting, it would be like the opposite of that. You only get like one teleport, maybe, or
it's kind of lame.
Because I mean, how do you continually teleport? You just disappear into nothing.
Like you're on a timer. It's like every hour you gotta.
Yeah, every hour you gotta like teleport somewhere.
That might be kind of convenient though. But then I would just
start teleporting around my room.
You can't ever like go to the movies. Like on a pack showing for like a new release.
On a pack showing, no. Yeah. You could just teleport into the bathroom and walk back in.
And it's like, sir, you can't leave your seat and come back.
I would like teleport directly, like make sure that I sit in the top row and then just teleport directly behind me and keep crawling over the seat every hour. Like
you would have to buy 2 seats though.
No, I'm saying like you're in the top row where they have the walkway behind you, right?
Yeah, but if you're in a theater, you have to be sitting down somewhere.
Right, and so you're sitting down, and then you teleport directly behind you where the aisleway is, and then you just crawl back over the seat.
Oh. I guess I'm thinking about this too broadly.
Yeah, because I mean, that's... If you could never stop teleporting, that would be pretty horrible.
Nightcrawler, but like...
Nightcrawler, but like every 5 minutes you're just teleporting places. Just leaving clouds of smoke everywhere you go.
I've heard a hypothetical about teleporting, and it's if you could teleport anywhere in the world, and this isn't a question of where would you go, but you had the gift of teleporting, but each time you teleported, you received pain, and any time you did it, it got worse. And so the question is, like, would you accept this power?
Yeah, I would just use my teleportation sparingly.
And like it's got to be like a really bad pain, like getting hit in the groin.
But like it gets worse,
excessively worse.
But it would obviously start out mild, right? Or does it start out bad and then get exponentially worse from there?
I'm gonna say bad and then exponentially.
Then no, probably not. If it's like getting like pinched, and then it just progressively gets a harder and harder pinch, then I'm going to take it. But like getting kicked in the groin hurts as is.
Yeah.
And then for that to be exponentially worse, you only get 2, 3 good teleports before you're agonizing in pain.
Say goodbye to that dream vacation,
I mean, if it was like what's like a light pain, like a sunburn, and each time you teleported, it was like a worse and worse sunburn. Let's say you got like 100 teleports before it's like 3rd degree burn.
Oh my god. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
From pinch to, whatever the worst of, that's probably doable.
Well, I mean, what's the worst pinch you could get?
I mean, starting at a pinch and then it getting worse.
Right. I've been pinched pretty hard before, so...
I would say like those punches you get in your stomach where you
like a liver shot where you like
yeah. There's also one of if you could fly, but the feeling of flying is like going on a run. Like it's basically like an exercise to fly, and so it's like would you do flying?
Yeah, because like any exercise,
an exertion.
Yeah, like any exercise though, you can get better stamina. So I would just start like flying around my house doing laps until I was tired, go inside and take a nap until I had enough flight capability to like fly for a few hours.
Yeah, imagine like going to like the other side, like to New York, and it would basically like you running to New York,
and then you're like drained by the time you get there and need like your whole week of vacation to like rest, and then you fly back and you're like, oh great, now I'm down and out for another week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck. Like, that's what I said. I would build up my stamina to the point. Because, I mean, there are people that run ultra marathons. It's like 280 miles. So if a human body could run 280 miles, the equivalent of me flying 280 miles is probably like 28,000 miles. Who knows?
Yeah.
What would be one thing that you could live without, but everybody else had? Or that you couldn't live without, but what everybody else had. So, like, let's say I got to take something away from you, and you were the only person that wasn't allowed to have this thing, but everybody else in your life, what would be, like, the worst thing?
And is this, like, a food object, like, whatever?
What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Something I could live without?
No, you couldn't live without. I messed the question up.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I'll just...
It was off the cuff. I mean, you're like, I would live without bananas. I don't really care about bananas.
You can't ever have a banana. I think as much as I love video games, I think that would be one that, like, it would be okay. Like, I love playing them. Love seeing videos about them, all this stuff. But I think I would be okay if everyone else was playing it and I didn't get that.
So, like, Germ, Sharish, and I got the game. Like, the game.
Yeah.
And we're like, yo,
hop on.
Sorry you can't play, bro, but this game's hype.
I'd just be like, all right.
You would disassociate yourself from us.
No, I would just be like, tell me about it. Let me hear about it.
I don't have an answer to that question. My phone probably would be the worst.
So,
well, I mean, I don't know. It depends on how serious you want to get it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm trying to think of things that everybody, like, has. But that if I was in a situation where everybody had a phone and I didn't, I would feel uncomfortable.
I thought you were going to say AirPods.
No. No.
Well, when you first said it of, like, you know, you could live without. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about AirPods.
You don't have AirPods. Of course you don't care about AirPods.
Well, I have things like AirPods, but...
I mean, there's other headphones, though.
Yeah. Well, it's just that, like, no AirPods for you.
What if I was like, you can't listen to music, but everybody else can?
Nope. It's a big nope.
Not for all the money in the world?
No. There's some music that, like... I don't think you can put a price on it.
Yeah, and there's also some music that I just really couldn't stand not to listen. Like, or they're just and music in general. I mean, when I'm in my car, I can't go down the street without plugging my phone in and turning music on.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, I can. I'm obviously not that dramatic, but it's like the first thing I do when I get in my car. I mean, music starts on its own. Bluetooth. Turn my car on. My phone automatically connects to Bluetooth and starts playing music.
Yeah. Regardless of how short the drive is.
Yeah. It's happening. If only I get to hear blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm satisfied.
So, to wrap up our hypotheticals, I would like to end it on a scenario. So, if you were at, like, a Nexus, like, gate, and you were presented with, like, 5 different doorways, and there was some, like, gatekeeper that was like, you may enter one of these doors, and you can never come back once you do. And at the other end of these doors is a reality of sorts, and they're all post-apocalyptic worlds. Which do you go into? Either out of your own curiosity or because you feel like, you know, this is the one I have a chance to survive in. So I'm going robots taking over the world, zombie apocalypse, Mad Max,
Nuclear fallout.
yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Like, which of those apocalypse scenarios do you think you would venture into?
Definitely not zombie. There's no way I'm surviving in a zombie apocalypse. Just the sheer numbers alone.
I feel like people really like get like their head in the clouds about zombie apocalypse. It's like, oh yeah, I could totally survive. I'm like,
No.
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 It's not happening.
No. Just the people in Vancouver alone would overwhelm you.
Yeah, imagine like trying to go to Oregon.
Like let's even just say like half of the population tonight turns into zombie apocalypse. By tomorrow morning, everything is gone. I mean, you really think you're going to go try and get a gun if you don't have a gun?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? So, zombie apocalypse already straight out the gate. Mad Max type, I just wouldn't want to deal with that.
Like I said, it's just so aesthetically cool.
Yes, but
the metal and the,
like realistically though,
big no.
Big no. I think robots, honestly, because like nuclear fallout. What I mean, have you seen? Oh my gosh, what is it?
Chernobyl?
No, the movie with Natalie Portman. There's this like shimmer, and she goes into the shimmer. Oh my gosh, I have to find out what movie that's called.
I'll throw another one like kaiju monsters.
Oh, probably the kaiju monsters.
So you don't want to have your robot overlords?
No, I mean unless it's like Terminator, like where I get to be part of the rebellion, then no. Like if just your Mac decided that it was gonna shut this podcast down and be like, "We're taking over," I'd be like, "I'm out, peace. I'm gonna go live in the woods somewhere."
So you think of those scenarios?
Probably the Godzilla like world, most likely. Annihilation. That movie's called Annihilation.
But the monsters one's interesting just because like everything's getting destroyed left and right. You don't really have a safe haven.
Not necessarily. Because end of Godzilla, monsters attacked.
Yes.
But there were still people alive. The society continued.
But like, let's say you relocate after like your hometown got wiped out, and then a new monster spawns in your new area. And then there's a big battle there, and like, oh, now I got to relocate again. So you'd rather do that out of the other ones?
Oh yeah, that's I'm surviving and just moving. Rather than...
But there's a risk of dying, too.
Okay, but there's a risk of getting eaten alive by zombies. There's a risk of robot overlords just wiping out all of humanity. They could do that easier than the zombie apocalypse could kill everybody.
Yeah.
They just launch nukes, and everybody's dead. Just get control of all of the missile systems in the world, and then just simultaneously launch nukes. Kill everybody. That's way more likely than, Godzilla and like
Godzilla and friends.
Yeah, Godzilla and friends destroying the entirety of the Earth. Especially if you're following the same lore as the Godzilla, where they were created to keep balance in the Earth and all that. Then they're not gonna wipe out everything.
Well, some of them.
I mean, Ghidorah will, but
yeah,
that is also a space creature.
Right.
So that would be my guess. What about you? You haven't really answered.
Of the one that I have the most likely chance to survive, I think the Terminator-like one.
Okay.
I feel like as a standard human, you have a better chance at survival in a robot overlord scenario. Like, you're not like the action hero of these scenarios, like who can fix the problem. You're Joe Schmo entering this world. So I think, maybe I'm a slave, but I'm alive.
I mean, but look at what happened in Terminator.
A lot.
Skynet tries to wipe out the human race, and the only surviving humans is a rebellion. So are you part of the rebellion, or are you wiped out by the human, on D-Day? Judgment Day. Not D-Day. That's World War II.
I mean, if I have the capability to join the rebellion, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to join the rebellion. But
do you have a better chance of surviving in the rebellion against robots, or do you have a better chance of just moving every couple years? Because I mean, that's another thing too. The Godzilla and Friends monsters, maybe they attack once and then they go to sleep for hundreds of years.
For the sake of this, I'm just gonna say they're like constantly fighting.
They're constantly fighting.
Yeah.
Then I'm going on an oil tanker in the middle or on like a boat. And I'll go refuel. I'll stock up enough fuel to last me a year. And just report every year. Find out what's going on in the world.
But even then, you might not be safe. Godzilla was having, some fun in the water too.
Yeah, totally. But again, we're playing the odds here. The odds of me surviving longer there than any of those other scenarios. Mad Max scenario is almost worse than a zombie apocalypse.
Because the people are conscious.
Because the people are conscious of what they're doing.
They're just crazy.
They're crazy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, honestly, after seeing Godzilla, I was like, kind of like, oh, I kind of want to see one. Like, up close. I want to see one. Be like, what's up, Zilla?
And then he just kind of goes back to sleep.
And then he just goes back to sleep. He's like, all right, peace. Could you imagine getting a fist bump from Zilla?
Oh, man.
You're like, don't kill me, dude. I'm here. I'm just chilling. I just go to work, do a podcast, come home.
It's like your
sleep.
Your fist touching a brick wall. It's just huge.
Try like your fist touching a mountaintop. You're like, hey, what's up, man? It's like one of those, like, you can never turn your strength off, and Godzilla's like, it just crushes you immediately. No. I thought I was good. I thought we were cool, man. Okay, so if you could be any monster from any genre of any movie or anything, what would you be?
Monster.
Like, not, I mean, okay, monster, creature, creation, from anything.
I think maybe a cyborg or werewolf. I don't know why werewolf. I just think it'd be cool to, like, because then if we're going by, lore, you only turn into that at night. So, like, I don't know.
Full moon.
Yeah.
But if you're also going by specific lore, you have no recollection of what you do as a werewolf.
It's problematic.
Let's say you're out murdering villagers. Like,
well, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. It wasn't me. It was the snout.
And the cyborg one would be cool just because, like, I don't know. Now you're like, there's still part of you that's human.
Part of you that's human, yeah.
And now you got like
some iRobot style.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
it, Chief.
Yeah.
Because then no one knows.
Yeah, then no one knows, especially if you have that spray to
the human, like,
the human skin spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cyborg would be good. I for some reason I immediately jumped to like a dragon, like the Hobbit, like Smaug.
But then you're always a dragon. You just do dragon things.
Yeah, but I mean, what's a dragon to do, man?
Burn
guard
villages.
some gold,
burn villages. I don't know.
Decide whether or not you want to be nice or mean.
Yeah, I say cyborg just because there's still part of me that, like,
right.
can do regular stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you had the option of, like, iRobot, like you could be Will Smith in iRobot. You taking it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
It's a big yeah.
Yeah, it's a big yeah. All right. Well, this concludes hypothetical time.
Our episode on hypotheticals.
Our very special episode of hypotheticals. Check back next week. Cheers.
Cheers.